Konnichiwa, my name is Logan Charles Luna, and this is going to be a video about my sketchbook. This is the third sketchbook I have for 2020, like the third full sketchbook. As far as like actual sketchbooks go for 2020, this is the sixth one that I'm working on. Yeah, I kind of tend to run through sketchbooks a lot, just figuring stuff out with art, trying to improve on things, certain areas. And this video is also going to be sort of an ad for my Patreon, because I recently launched my Patreon, and over there you can support me monetarily. The lowest tier right now is going to be the generic shonen side character tier. That's $3. You get a shout out at the end of my videos. You get to vote for fan art. Yeah, on my Patreon, there's a poll right now about what fan art I should work on next. And the options, well, you'll get to see them if you're a patron. So to start off with this one, this is mainly the sketchbook I've been using for the last 2 months. It's the Speedball Bindfang mixed media sketchbook. It has 40 pages, and actually this one has 35 because I took some of those pages out, I think about 5 of them, and sold them. So those were commissions that I just kind of took out of the sketchbook, because the person and persons who wanted those pieces, they just kind of wanted them like straight out of the sketchbook. They didn't want a scan or a print of it. And I'm okay with selling like originals if it's fan art, because like I don't own the intellectual property for that. So if it's just like fan art, I'm okay with just giving the originals to someone, because I already like posted them on social media and they have my name on it, like signature. So it's not really a big deal for me. And like the people who bought those first 5 pages, like I think it was like $50 each of those, because I'm not trying to be like, I don't want to boast, but I usually get like a lot of artwork done fairly quickly. And if you follow my social media, like you can tell I usually post 2 artworks a day. And that's been more consistent lately. And I used to like kind of rush out and post 3 artworks in one day, like in the same hour. And to be honest, those artworks aren't really up to the level, like to the standard that I want to set my art. Since I'm making a living, well, trying to make a living off of my artworks now. So usually with these, I at least want to take an hour to work on it, like a full on, I'm working on it, and it's a real artwork. Like I put everything into it, and I want to improve my artistic abilities. So right now, let's just get started with this sketchbook tour. So first page is a fan art of Warhorse. Warhorse is this really cool indie wrestler. If you're a fan, then you know what he's all about. He's like a Ultimate Warrior type if he had the wrestling ability of Daniel Bryan. Those of you who aren't wrestling fans, I like the character. And yeah, like pro wrestling, the outcome is predetermined, but like all the athletics, like that's legit 100%. One major botch and like someone's in a wheelchair, dead. So yeah, Warhorse is just this really cool heavy metal type of pro wrestler. He weighs 1,000. Oh no. If I'm gonna do the gimmick, I'm gonna do it right. So he weighs 4,000 pounds of raw heavy metal, and he is here to rule ass. This is a fan art of Kazuchika Okada. And like, if you follow me on social media, you can tell that sometimes I post these out of order. Like, you'll be like, wait, that one didn't get posted up until like after. Like, I don't post them immediately after I finish the artwork. Sometimes I will literally wait a day and kind of think about how I want my artwork to be represented on social media. Like, I'll post this at this time, and then all the analytic stuff, like when people actually like your post and when they can see it. Usually people see my stuff like on the weekend, like a Saturday, and the time of day or time of night that they see it kind of fluctuates depending on whatever the algorithm has set up for people and if they follow me or not. That's why I tend to use hashtags, and I've been using a lot more like useful hashtags. When I started out, I started using hashtags that were mainly kind of like a playlist of all the music I listened to when I was working on it. And now, usually, I don't listen to that much music when I work on my art. I'm listening to like podcast, or if I'm rewatching an anime, like I'll put it on and listen to it. If there's like a dub for an anime that like I already saw the sub version for, like I'll listen to that. And mainly also, like, I've been trying to improve my Japanese. My Japanese is like very not even basic level Japanese. I'm like at the level of a preschooler when it comes to Japanese. Like, I can't really have a regular conversation with someone in Japanese. I can just kind of make my way through places and ask for directions and ask for things and say I'm sorry in Japanese, like hello, goodbye, thank you. Just basic standard tourist stuff. But I really do want to improve on my Japanese because um like for personal reasons, I feel like I kind of wasted an opportunity to move to Japan in 2017. And like, it's like the biggest regret of my life, other than a few other things. But not moving to Japan in 2017 and like being over there and learning Japanese, yeah, it's like the number one thing I regret, especially with all the stuff that's happened to me in the last 3 years since that moment. Um, yeah, like obviously the current situation, like the world pandemic, that's gonna affect you no matter where you live. But I'm just saying, where I wanted to be, like where I want to be now, I could have been there now had I just stayed in Japan and not like just went to go and be a tourist and visit. Like, had I actually moved when I had the opportunity to move there. And moving anywhere is like a challenge and takes a lot of work, but especially Japan. The more I realize it now that I'm trying to move to Japan, it's a lot. And I really, like, I didn't understand how, like, huge of an opportunity I had in 2017 to just, like, so many things I could have accomplished by now had I not been hesitant and I felt like I was running away from what was going on in my life. at that time. So if I would have just set that, like, put my pride aside and just taken the opportunity and moved to Japan, because I'm going to be honest, like when I was working as a writer in America, and like I was never officially working for the studio that I did a lot of work for, especially because I'd say 50% of the work I did for that studio was like writing exercises, and I technically did them for free because that's how the studio system was when I was working at this studio. And it's like a major like film studio and like TV too. So the fact that I was like a writer for this company in this studio was like amazing, but I have like absolutely no working credit. Like my name won't appear on anything unless they get so desperate they go back to 2015, 2013 and get a pilot that I worked on, or they greenlight a film that I did a short film version for. Yeah, unless they bring any of those projects back from the warehouse, because this studio, along with like many other studios, have just a massive warehouse of IP and pilot episodes and movies that they passed on, but like they made it. So in case they ever want to sell it to another company, to a streaming service or anything like that, they have the option to do that. And mainly that's why Hulu, Netflix, and Amazon Video, like so many of them, are getting IP that they can, because there's IP that studios have that's like not available because it's not finished and it was never presented in a way that it could be a viable option. Because usually with every like trend and craze and fad, there will be a network, a studio attempting to cash in on that. Like with all the zombie shows and all the high fantasy shows, because of the success of Walking Dead and Game of Thrones, it kind of set up, and it's been there for a while, but it's just like this really desperate work environment to like try and make the new whatever that is and try and make it work for the studio or the company or the network that you're working for. Also, a lot of my job when I was working there, and I say that kind of like jokingly because the way like Hollywood worked back then, I don't know if they changed it. I haven't worked in the industry in like 3 years, but the way it worked back then, if you didn't like get like an actual like credit, or like your thing didn't get picked up for like syndication, or like it got greenlit, that's considered for that studio or that network like, oh, like you submitted it, like it's something you did on your free time, like it's not something we paid for. But you usually get like compensation for it because the studio made you do it. Basically it was like so that they wouldn't feel guilty and like so you wouldn't like sue. But a lot of the entertainment industry is not just like Hollywood, it's like all over the world too. They really do take advantage of you. And one of the biggest like areas of not properly compensating someone for the work that they put into a project is like the animation industry. And Japan is like one of the biggest, like the worst place to be an animator, because the anime industry, like you really get treated terribly. The pay is horrible, and like for the work, it's not reasonable for the work that you do. And especially like when it's high quality work, it's just really frustrating. And like instead of dealing with that, I could have had I don't want to go into it in this video, but it was a really good like job opportunity and like just a way to like improve and better my life. But I was in a really dark, low point in my life back in 2017. There was an event that happened the year before in 2016. It really kind of broke me, like to the point where I'm still recovering today, like mentally and physically from it. And one of the ways like I express myself is with art and music. And I've been playing guitar again, and I want to at least buy like a little keyboard so I can get back into piano. Those are the only two instruments I know how to play though, like well. It's like guitar and piano. At one point when I was a kid, I did learn accordion, but all I could do is play the Weird Al songs, and then that's it, because those were the only songs I knew how to play on the accordion. Like the songs Weird Al used an accordion for. And in order to kind of like continue on with this sketchbook tour, I'm just gonna flip the next page. There's really no transition after that weird monologue I just gave you guys. You're probably getting sick of watching this fan art, like just being all on my videos. It was in my Copic marker review. It was in my AEW review. But yeah, this was really trying to make a Western movie poster style fan art for the pro wrestler Hangman Adam Page. Yes, that does say cowboy shit. It's a catchphrase. So, of course, like my videos, I think they're all age restricted, because a while back YouTube, they went through so many like controversies and problems with children being taken advantage of on both sides of the medium, like as creators and as viewers. So if anything is like not appropriate for kids, like you have to sign off, like click a little box on a YouTube, what's like your YouTube page. And yeah, so all of my videos I think are age restricted. That's kind of why I tend to go more sort of like adult subject matter. I don't just mean like any risque or sexual stuff. I mean like it gets dark, it gets real on this YouTube channel. And like I'm most likely never gonna make money off of this. This is just a way for me to like express myself and vent, and it's therapeutic. Because in my day-to-day life, I don't like talking about myself. I never really did. And mainly one of the reasons is because like of my depression. Whenever I talk about myself, I feel like I'm bothering someone just talking about myself. Like I'm not special. Like who the fuck am I? Nobody cares. And stuff like that. But I get to express myself through art. I've made somewhat of a living selling some of my art. It's not like any high quality fine art things, and don't really get a lot of money out of it. Rarely ever do I sell anything. Haven't gotten commission work in a few months now. I got commission work recently, but that was like, oh, we just want like digital copies of stuff that you already had on your Instagram, just like a high quality scan of it. And yeah, this was the Hangman fan art made with Copic markers, and you're all sick of it. So we're gonna flip the page over and transition to the Kota Ibushi fan art made with Copic markers. Like I said in my Copic marker review, there are alternatives to Copic markers, and mainly I prefer like Spectrum Noir because it's kind of a more affordable alternative that's around the same quality as Copic. Like for the price of Spectrum Noir, I feel like they're reasonably priced. You get a really good competitor to the Copic marker. It's going to be around the same quality, and it doesn't tend to bleed as much as like a fresh Copic marker. Like all art markers like bleed out, and it's kind of a mess, and you really have to kind of swatch them or use them in like large areas in your artwork. And now from Kota Ibushi, who is my favorite wrestler of all time, I feel like this is going to be a podcast episode in my YouTube channel, which I still don't have a name for it. Maybe I'll come up with a title for it when I post this video. But I'm open to any ideas. And you could probably do that on my Patreon. I'll ask for input on what I should call like this rambling rant type of podcast. And this is a fan art that will ensure I get demonetized on this. Like, I don't make any money off of it, but just in case I did, I'm not going to now because of stuff like this. And you can get fan art like this and probably even lewder or more lewd ecchi fan art if you sign up for the man or woman of culture tier on my Patreon. And you would get all the benefits of the 3 tiers below it and the benefit of having commission artwork. And it'll be in digital format because, you know, right now I don't feel like it'd be responsible to ship stuff out like artworks and scans and prints. So probably just a high resolution scan if it's a traditional artwork, and I do plan on working more on digital. So this next page is fan art for the Black Star and Tsubaki characters from Soul Eater. My favorite characters. I still argue that Black Star should have been the protagonist for Soul Eater. Like, Maka is a fine character. It's just, she's really not that interesting. Like, she has a lot of side character energy. Fan art of Nico Robin, the best Straw Hat. I will destroy all of you who disagree. And my favorite One Piece character. Definitely made her too tan. Again, I hadn't used skin tone Copic markers in a long time, like 3 years. So when I went into it with this fan art, I went too dark and mistakes were made. And I feel like I learned from it with the next Nico Robin fan art that I'm more satisfied with. It's not perfect like Nico Robin is, but it's close enough. And now kind of leave the fan art realm of things and get more into the personal artwork that I work on every now and then. This artwork It's just kind of sketching out a male character on my manga projects that are coming up. I go more into detail about that on my Patreon. And if you are a ridiculous bastard with a lot of money, you can become my editor for $9.99 US. And you will literally get like manuscripts and storyboards of like my manga projects, and essentially you will be my editor, like editor for DC Comics or Shonen Jump, and you will have all those powers, all the influence of an editor. So yeah, if you're crazy enough to do that every month, sign up for that tier. Again, this is more like a personal artwork, and this sketch, like I was trying to do a traditional kind of Edo period ink brush artwork of a bear connected to kind of my more manga 90s anime style artwork. Doesn't really look like a bear. Personal feedback, a lot of people that I showed it to said it looks like a leopard or a panda bear, but no, it's supposed to be like a grizzly bear. But yeah, live and learn. This is fan art for a bodybuilder fitness model, Cindy Landit. I don't think I said her last name right, but you can check out my social media. I tagged her on it if you want to check out her page. A lot of great workouts there. I've really been trying to get back into shape and doing workouts. I've been out of shape for 10 years now. It's kind of ridiculous. Like, I'm overweight. Like, it's not a big problem. Like, a lot of people say, like, oh, I just look like a normal guy, but I didn't always. And yeah, like, that's the thing. I kind of want to go back to how I used to be before my injury and get back into where I feel comfortable about my body. And this final page for now is a fan art of Evelyn Stone as Jane, and I titled it Jane Waiting for Tarzan or Jane Waits for Tarzan, because originally it was kind of a watercolor just experiment of a beach. I've only been to Africa one time. I think I was mainly in South Africa for like the week I spent in the entire continent of Africa. And there was a beach that kind of reminded me of the old Disney Tarzan movie. And I wanted to like kind of like paint that beach like watercolor. It felt really empty because, like, I'm not kidding. There was like, it's the ocean, it's the sand, and like nothing until this like random cliff, like a rock with a huge tree on it. And it looks so weird and out of place, like just painting it with watercolor by itself. So I decided I'm gonna put something or someone in the middle of this, and I decided Evelyn Stone. So yeah, once again, if you like any of the artwork you've seen here today, like it on my social media and join my Patreon if you want to be more involved in my artwork. If you want to support me monetarily, $3 tier, lowest tier, you get shout outs at the end of these YouTube videos. Right now, don't have any current Patreons, just launched it yesterday, so don't think I'm gonna get any Patreons until hopefully the 1st of next month, and I'll keep you guys posted and update on it. Of course, you'll know if you watch like the end of the videos and there's shout outs now. Anyway, this has gone on for like a half hour, so this will officially be a podcast episode. Still don't know what to call the podcast. I'm gonna ask Patreons whenever they sign up any names for this potential podcast, and of course, there's early access tier. I think that's $5. I think I should know. Like, I made this Patreon. Like, I should know what the tiers are and what the rewards and benefits are for these tiers. So, $5 you get early access. You will either get it like an hour or a day, at the most a week early than YouTube or any other social media. You also get to see rough sketches of any fan art I'm working on. Right now there's a fan art I'm working on. There's a rough sketch. That's why I'm not gonna turn this page over. And like keeping that exclusively for Patreons, and feeling like I'm gonna do some like live stream drawing, and I'll let the Patreons know before I let anyone else know, like on my social media, that there's a live stream video. Like, if you want to watch, here's a link to it. And I feel like I'll keep any like live streams or drawing videos. I'll probably keep those unlisted and like just send the link over to patrons. So thank you for withstanding this rambling nonsense. If I do ever get any patrons, first thing is make sure I'll have enough money for like an editor so someone can fix this mess. Arigatou gozaimasu. This has been Logan Charles Luna, and sayonara.